Imagine a city where the tallest structures are not skyscrapers. They are rockets, where factory halls replace shopping malls, where launch towers replace office parks. In a remote stretch of southern Texas, along the edge of the Gulf of Mexico, a new kind of city is taking shape. One designed not for finance, tourism, or manufacturing consumer goods, but for building machines meant to leave Earth. This is not just a spaceport. This is not just a factory complex. SpaceX is assembling an entire industrial ecosystem dedicated to a single objective: building, testing, and launching the largest rockets ever constructed. What began as a small experimental launch site is quietly transforming into something closer to a company town for spaceflight, a rocket city. The story begins in Boca Chica, Texas, a sparsely populated coastal area near the Mexican border. For decades, Boca Chica was little more than a quiet beach community surrounded by wetlands and wildlife refuges. There were no major industries, no large ports, and no significant infrastructure. In 2014, SpaceX began quietly purchasing land in the area. The company announced plans to build a private orbital launch site for future rockets. At the time, the project appeared modest: a launch pad, some support buildings, and basic infrastructure. But as SpaceX's ambitions evolved, so did Boca Chica. By the late 2000s, SpaceX selected the site as the primary development and testing location for its next-generation launch system, Starship. Construction accelerated dramatically. Temporary tents became permanent factories. Open concrete slabs became massive steel buildings. Launch stands multiplied. Fuel tank farms appeared. What was originally a test site for occasional launches began to resemble a permanent spaceport, publicly referred to the area as Starbase. Not a nickname, a statement of intent. Boca Chica was no longer just a launch location. It was becoming the headquarters of a new spacefaring manufacturing city. In most aerospace programs, rockets are built inside carefully controlled cleanroom facilities, often hundreds or thousands of kilometers away from their launch sites. Starbase breaks that model. At Boca Chica, rockets are built outdoors in massive industrial bays located only a short distance from the launch pads themselves. SpaceX constructed towering fabrication buildings known as high bay and mega bay facilities. These structures rise over 80 meters tall and are designed to stack Starship vehicles vertically. Inside, giant steel rings are welded together to form rocket bodies. Sections are lifted by cranes, aligned, and fused into towering stainless steel cylinders. Nearby, Raptor rocket engines, the most powerful methane-fueled engines ever flown, are tested and prepared for installation. Tank sections, nose cones, and aerodynamic flaps are assembled in parallel, allowing multiple Starships to be under construction at the same time. What makes this facility unusual is speed. Instead of producing one carefully polished rocket every few years, SpaceX aims to produce Starships in rapid succession, more like an aircraft assembly line than a traditional space program. Scrap piles of crushed steel from failed prototypes sit beside newly built vehicles. Exploded test articles are treated as data. The factory floor is not hidden, it is the launch site. As rocket production expanded, people followed. Thousands of engineers, technicians, welders, electricians, and support staff relocated to Boca Chica. SpaceX began constructing employee housing, temporary accommodations, and long-term residential buildings near the site. Roads were widened, power lines, fiber networks, and water systems were upgraded. Entire utility corridors were built to serve what had once been empty land. Support facilities appeared alongside factories: offices, control rooms, warehouses, medical stations, cafeterias, even recreational areas. Everything required to sustain a permanent workforce. Unlike traditional cities that grow around commerce or trade, Starbase grows around a single industrial mission. The population is not drawn by culture or nightlife. It is drawn by rockets. In 2021, SpaceX even proposed incorporating Starbase as an official city in Texas, a move that would give the company greater control over zoning, infrastructure, and local governance. Whether or not incorporation ultimately succeeds, the reality is clear. A new kind of settlement is forming, not a mining town, not a factory town, but a spaceflight town. Starbase exists for one reason: Starship. Starship is SpaceX's fully reusable, super heavy launch system designed to carry people and cargo to Earth orbit, the Moon, and eventually Mars. The complete system consists of two vehicles. The first stage, called Super Heavy, stands roughly 70 meters tall and is powered by more than 30 Raptor engines. The upper stage, called Starship, stands about 50 meters tall and is itself a spacecraft capable of orbital flight and atmospheric re-entry. Together, the stacked system reaches nearly 120 meters in height, making it taller than the Statue of Liberty and more powerful than any rocket ever flown. Starship is designed to be rapidly reusable, similar to an aircraft. Instead of being discarded after a single launch, both stages are meant to land, be inspected, refueled, and fly again. If this works at scale, launch costs could drop by an order of magnitude compared to traditional rockets. This cost reduction is essential for SpaceX's long-term goals: building large satellite constellations, constructing lunar bases, and ultimately transporting thousands of people and millions of tons of cargo to Mars. Starbase is the only place on Earth currently capable of building Starship at full scale. Without Starbase, Starship does not exist. Starbase does not operate like a traditional aerospace facility. It operates like a continuous experiment. Prototypes are built quickly. They are rolled to the launch stand. They are tested to destruction. Engineers analyze the data. Designs are modified. New prototypes roll out weeks later. This philosophy is often summarized inside SpaceX as build, test, fail, fix, repeat. During peak periods, multiple Starship vehicles have been visible at different stages of assembly simultaneously. New factory buildings rise while rockets are already being produced inside older ones. Construction crews work day and night, often 7 days a week. The site changes month by month, sometimes week by week. Starbase is not being finished, it is being evolved. Starbase does not exist in an empty wilderness. The facility sits beside sensitive coastal wetlands and wildlife habitats, including areas used by endangered sea turtles and migratory birds. Boca Chica is also adjacent to a public beach that locals have used for generations. Frequent road closures and beach access restrictions during rocket testing have sparked legal challenges and protests. Environmental groups argue that repeated launches, explosions, and debris scatter pose risks to ecosystems and public land. SpaceX states that it works with federal and state regulators and that it conducts environmental mitigation, habitat monitoring, and cleanup operations after tests. Still, tension remains. Starbase represents a collision between two visions: preserving untouched landscapes and building humanity's path to space. Both sides believe they are protecting the future. Starbase has transformed the economy of South Texas. Thousands of high-paying engineering and technical jobs have arrived in a region that previously relied heavily on tourism, fishing, and small-scale industry. Local businesses, hotels, restaurants, construction companies, and suppliers have expanded to serve the influx of workers. Infrastructure investment has increased. Property values have risen. For Texas, Starbase strengthens the state's reputation as a major center for advanced aerospace development. For SpaceX, the economic footprint builds political and institutional support. Starbase is no longer just a rocket site, it is an economic anchor. A century ago, frontier towns grew around railroads, then highways, then oil fields. Now one is growing around rockets. Starbase is not a traditional city. It has no downtown, no skyline, no shopping district. Its skyline is stainless steel. Its downtown is a launch pad, and its main export is velocity. Whether Starbase becomes the birthplace of a multi-planet civilization or simply the most ambitious rocket factory ever built, it already represents something new, a city designed not for Earth, but for leaving it.